Today we need to talk about The Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson musical. I love telling people that there's a Percy Jackson musical, it fills them with such confusion.
I never tried to do anything, I never mean to hurt anyone. I swear that I'm a good son.
So, what is The Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson musical? Don't worry, I'm not going to keep referring to it by its entire name. Well, as the name suggests, it is a musical adaptation of the 2005 young adult book Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, which is the first book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series by Rick Riordan. You're probably already very familiar with the Percy Jackson series, either from the extensive Percy Jackson and the Olympian series, or its many spin-off series, My God, Rick Riordan, Do You Sleep? Or by the interesting movie adaptations of the first two books in the series. We're not going to dwell too much on them, but they star Logan Lerman and they're bad, is all you need to know. But we finally got the adaptation that we deserved with this musical. Like I said, if you tell anybody that there's a Percy Jackson musical, they will go, oh, so we're just turning anything into a musical now? But this is different, because this is actually really, really good. If you aren't familiar with the story of Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, here's it in its most basic form. It follows a young teenager named Percy Jackson who discovers that he is a demigod, and he is sent on a quest to retrieve back Zeus's stolen lightning bolt in an attempt to rescue his mother from the underworld. If I had to compare the show to anything, the closest comparison I could probably make is Be More Chill, both in its story and in its general production and the space it fills in the musical theatre world. They both follow similar themes of young adulthood and teenagerdom, which is pretty charted territory for most shows about teenagers. You know, we've seen it in Heathers, we've seen it in Bear, we've seen it in Mean Girls, but they're all really good and they all have their own different spins on it. In Be More Chill, they use sci-fi computer technology, the squib, but in here we replace that with gods and monsters, not the Lana Del Rey song. A brief history on the show. So the show was originally conceived in 2014 and it was pitched as a one-act musical, aiming pretty young, for like young audiences, probably the same audiences that were reading the books. So it was first introduced in New York City and it did a tour around the US, and that was about all we heard from it until 2017 when it was revived again and it was reworked into a full two-act, this time aiming a little bit older. It had a moderately successful limited run off-Broadway, and then the cast recording was released shortly after, and then that's when it started to get a bit of attention. However, much like Bear, this show doesn't get the attention that it deserves. It does have a very die-hard fan base, but there's nothing really much beyond that, which is upsetting because it's so good and it deserves to get some recognition. But just when it seemed like this show would just be put up on the shelf and forgotten about with just a cast recording to remember it by, it was clearly successful enough for them to announce a national tour of it in the US starting in 2019. I'm very gutted that I'm not going to be able to see it, but it starts in Chicago in April, so if you are in the US and in one of the venues that it's going to be at, go see it, go support it, because it's great. Now, who's in the show? I'm going to just focus on the off-Broadway cast as opposed to the first run cast. They are quite different, but I don't know it very well, and it's not on Wikipedia, so I just don't know. I know that some of them are the same, some of them aren't. Google exists, go figure it out if you're really that inclined. Now, like most limited off-Broadway shows like this, the cast is fairly unknown, but very talented. But there are two names attached to this that you will likely be very familiar with. The first one is Chris McCarroll, who played the titular Percy Jackson. You will know Chris McCarroll from his turn as one of the Lost Boys in Peter Pan Live, or as Marius in the Broadway run of Les Mis. I think he also was just in a regional production of Sweeney Todd. I'm not entirely sure whereabouts that was, but he played Anthony, so that's worth noting. The other name, if you're a Be More Chill fan, you will be very familiar with, and that is George Salazar, who played Grover. Now, George Salazar was in national tour of Spring Awakening as Otto. He was in Godspell on Broadway. He was in Here Lies Love off-Broadway. He was in Tick Tick Boom off-Broadway. And he played Michael in Be More Chill. That's right, he is Michael in the bathroom. To be fair, he plays a very similar character here, of the quirky, nerdy sidekick who's a bit awkward, but it's just very lovable. There are 5 other cast members, so I'm just going to rattle through them. You're probably not familiar with them, but they deserve a shout out anyway. So we got Kristen Stokes, who played Annabeth Chase, James Hayden Rodriguez, who played Luke and Ares, Carrie Compere, who played Sally Jackson, and a bunch of other characters, Sarah Beth Pfeiffer, who played Mrs. Dodds, Clarice, and a bunch of other characters, and Jonathan Raviv, who played Mr. Brunner, Poseidon, and a lot of other characters. And they're all great. I love them all. They are my children, even though they are all older than me. Some of them old enough to be my parents. Now, you may have noticed that is only 7 cast members, and that is because this is a very, very low budget show. But this is a show that wears its low budget on its sleeve, because it's doing massive fight sequences with giant monsters and loads of magic and shit. They had to get creative, and that's part of what I love about this show. Is it's almost very Shakespearean in the way that it does it. Like, you have to suspend your disbelief when watching the show. So like the waves are made with toilet paper, and we'll go, whoa, a sword! Fight! Whoa, is that a monster? It's kind of on the nose, it's pretty cheesy, but it's very fun, and I just love the way that this show is able to get creative with the way that it creates the story. It almost seems like kids playing pretend. That's the way that I've kind of analysed it in my theatre student brain. The set is all just scaffolding. It's very minimal, but it works. It works really well. And there are only 7 cast members, and almost all of them multi-role except the person who plays Percy and the person who plays Annabeth. Usually they play side characters who are there for comedic effect or to just do fun harmonies, or when they're making a monster, they'll all come together and do some cool physical theatre to make a big minotaur, or whatever they need to do. Now, I first discovered the show by its cast recording, as I discover most shows and how most other people discovered the show too, and I don't think there is a weak song. Of course, I like some more than others, but they're all really great. Rob Ritiki wrote the music, and what he's done brilliantly here is he's managed to keep a cohesive sound, but different songs are able to split off into a couple different genres depending on what they're needed for. So we got a couple of campfire songs, we got some country here, we've got disco, we've got all sorts. It's wild. But just a couple of my favourites are Strong, Their Sign, the Campfire song, Good Kid. The minute I heard Good Kid, it was immediately put into my audition rep book. I love it. It's such a fun song to sing in your car. Lost, Drive, Tree on a Hill, DOA, Bring on the Monsters. Now that's 9 songs out of 19. But, like I said, I kind of love them all. Some of them are just almost act a bit as interludes, but they're really great. They're really, really fun. The writing in the show is really funny and really witty. And Chris McCarroll, my boy Chris McCarroll, is hilarious to no extent. He delivers these lines with such wit and cleverness that every time I listen to it, I'm in stitches. I could never, as much as I want to play Percy, I could never do it like Chris McCarroll does it. Now, where can you find this show? Like I've mentioned a couple of times, there is a cast recording out, and in the US, I believe it's on iTunes and on Spotify and whatever. In the UK, it is not, but it is in its entirety on YouTube, and it's been put there by the company, so it's more than legal. Go listen to it, go have some fun with it. As much as I don't condone bootlegs, I'm not saying watch it, but there is one floating around of the original 1-act, and there is one of the newer 2-act with Chris McCarroll that is floating around. It's not great, not that I would know, not that I've watched it, but it's pretty weak, but it is there if you want to watch it. It's kind of all we got because this was such a small show. There isn't really a whole lot about it, but there is a national tour going around the US next year, so if you are in the US, go see if you can find tickets. I don't know when tickets go on sale, and they haven't even announced who the cast is yet.
They keep fighting them on Twitter, and they're just refusing, they're just straining about this point, because they know we want it, and they just want to keep running it out, and just teasing us with things and giving us red herrings and
It's frustrating. Sorry I went on a bit of a bit of a spiel there. There was also a reunion concert around about the time that the cast recording came out. That is in its entirety on YouTube. There was 2, they are both on there, because someone went to both and filmed them both, and they are a godsend. I've watched it many times. It's very, very funny. And they also talk in between it and talk a bit about how the show was conceived and the ideas around it. And a lot of it's just the actors on stage having fun, especially Chris McCarroll, because he is witty beyond belief. He has not only me and the audience in tears, but the actors on stage in tears too. Just, he a funny boy. And that concert was at the Green Room 42 in New York. But it's all on YouTube for you to watch. Now, unfortunately, because this is such a small show, that's around about all the content we have for it, apart from a couple of music videos and live concert performances, and the amazing Twitter account. I don't know who runs it, but it's very funny. They just post memes, and that would be me if I was in charge of the Lightning Thief Twitter account. But anyway, that is all the information you require for The Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson musical. Please go listen to it, go support it, go support small musical theatre, go support my channel, and I will see you guys next time when we have something to talk about. Bye. Cue the lip sync segment.
The gods are real, like the Greek gods,
Like the ones you learned about but weren't paying attention to.
well, they don't pay attention to you either, especially if you're their kid. The gods have godly things to do, godly places they need to see,
Godly plans they need to make that don't include me.
yeah, the gods are real, and they have kids, and those kids have
It's gonna be bloody murder, Sarah. I'll put you in. I'll put you in your place. I'll put you in. I'll put you in. I'll put you in your place.
Maybe if I'd been a little bit braver, maybe if I stayed behind to fight, but maybe doesn't let me go back and save her. Maybe doesn't make it all right.
Normal is a myth. Everyone has issues they're dealing with.
If you're weird, you're weak.
That's where you're wrong. The things that make you different are the very things that make you strong. So be strong.
So we're half-bloods, not gods but can't go halfway. It's all not semi, it's up to us. So let me try my best as we journey west. We're going on an awesome, dangerous and scary, thrilling, and hairy heroes. He showed no sign that he ever existed, no sign he might actually care. My mom raised me all on her lonesome. When I would reach out, no one else would be there. Well, I want my birthday cards and fishing trips, child support and homework tips. Don't mean to whimper or whine. The guy didn't need to be dad of the year, but it's clear he could have shown us a sign. There's gonna be a fight, there still might be a war. For the moment we've got danger on the run,
And things will get bad before they will get better. It may feel like an ending, but the battle's just begun.
oh, things couldn't be worse when your parents run the universe. Oh, things couldn't be worse when your folks run the universe. Try, just try, stay ahead and stay ahead and stay alive. Roll it off the street, oh, that's the rules, hell just go. No, not that way.
No backup plan.
No food, no phone, no adult supervision. We're lost in the woods and we'll never leave New Jersey if none of us are making a decision. Blast the horns with the phantom food. Past danger, streams and arrows roll. We're gonna march straight down to the underworld. I'm the son of Poseidon, and I'm gonna win. The son of Poseidon, and I'm done running. I'm in the DOA and you're here to stay. May you stop forever, never get away. No hope for survival, you're dead on arrival. Daddy doesn't love me and mommy is a god.
Mommy can't pretend me and daddy is a god.
Mommy is too busy and daddy is too busy. Busy, 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 busy being a god. Yeah. You never listen to me, you never listen. You never listen to me, you never listen up. You never listen, but now you're gonna listen, 'cause it's time you heard our side of the story. It's time you heard our story. But no one ever will take my side. All I ever do is take the fall. So I swear that I'm a good kid. Guess I'm good for nothing at all. I never dreamed that I could do this. Never felt like I was worth a damn. But I'm sort of getting through this. I mean, look at where I am. There's a tree on the hill, upon Half-Blood Hill, that protects us all and always will. And it's there reminding you of all I failed to be. Just another terrible day. I can't pack up here, everything's the worst. Just another terrible day. When you're in charge, it's like you're cursed.
My grand plan is that I will be remembered. My grand plan, just you wait and see. You better wise up, 'cause I'll rise up. Bring on any challenge, and someday soon someone will notice me.
So I'll do anything. I don't care if I hurt anyone. It doesn't pay to be a good kid, a good kid, a good son. The gods were never on our side, so I think it's time we watch them fall. Until you see what I did, soon there'll be no gods at all. My dad is Hermes, he messengers things. You'll know his sign by his shoes with those wings. I wait by the phone, but the phone never rings. Oh no!
I know that goes.
When your dad's a god, life can be tough. I met the guy once, and once was enough. Are we ever gonna once have it easy? Nope. Feeling ready,
Feeling stoked,
feeling queasy.
we could fail, but we have to try.
Don't feel bad, 'cause we're usually about to die. Bring on the monsters, bring on the monsters, bring on the real world. Bring on the monsters, bring on the real world. Bring on the real world. I'll be back next summer. I'll be back next summer.
That was interesting. Quick admin time. I have now turned We Need to Talk About into a series, because apparently the only way I can make regular content is if I turn it into a series. A lot of you guys loved my bear video and you've requested more theatre content, so obviously when that did really well, the first thing I did was make a video that wasn't about theatre. But I haven't forgotten you guys. This is kind of going to be the series where I talk about things I love that are underrated and I feel like not enough people are talking about, and I'll just give you a crash course in all the information that I have. So when I recommend somebody something, or you recommend, and they go, what's that? You can go, here, watch this video. Here's all the information you need. It's not always going to be about musicals and musical theatre, but I really like musicals, so a lot of the time it will be. I may, somewhere along the line, play along with the formula, because I have a habit of establishing a formula and then destroying it about like 4 episodes in, but we'll see. But I really enjoy this because it's a chance for me to just talk at you about things that I'm passionate about, because I'm very passionate about a lot of things. So yeah, you can expect more of these videos in the future. So you people who subscribe to me hoping for more theatre content, don't worry, you got it. It's coming.
I swear I never stole anything. I never meant to hurt anyone. I swear that I'm a good kid who's had a bad run. All I need
It's really warm in here.